From 1855 until 1908, the Navy's annual reports correctly stated that Constellation was a sloop of war built in Norfolk in 1854. But starting in 1909, the reports identified the ship as the frigate that was built in Baltimore in 1797. The reasons for the change are unclear, but this error planted the seeds of a controversy that lasted more than 80 years. In 1948, the Secretary of the Navy initiated a private fundraising campaign to cover the cost of repairs that were necessary to keep Constellation afloat. The premise of the campaign was that Constellation was the Navy's oldest ship and worthy of being saved for future generations. A noted naval architect, Howard Chappell, disagreed and published an article in 1949 titled The Constellation Myth. Chappell argued that the existing Constellation was different in size, shape, and design from the frigate, hence the two could not be the same ship. Leonard Cushing, an engineer at the Boston Navy Yard, who was responsible for repairing Constellation, took exception to this. He believed that the ship had been heavily modified over the years, but that it was still the same Constellation in substance and in spirit. Doubts about the ship's true identity aided in the Navy's decision to decommission the ship in 1955 and turn it over to a nonprofit organization in Baltimore called the Constellation Committee. Committee members maintained that the ship was the original frigate and raised money to restore it to its original 1797 appearance. Their work was later undermined when it was discovered that the ship's curator had forged documents and artifacts to support the 1797 thesis. Other documents that supported their position had supposedly gone missing, including some claimed to have been destroyed in a fire here at Naval Station Newport in 1946. No one has found proof that these documents ever existed. The Navy held blueprints in its archives that proved Constellation was a new construction in 1854, but the Director of Naval History refused to allow public access to these records. The dispute was finally settled in 1991 when employees of the Navy's David Taylor Research Center published an extensive report utilizing authentic documents, plans, and models. Their findings showed that the frigate had been completely disassembled in 1853, and a new sloop of war with the same name built the next year. Key to their research was the half-hull model that hangs on the wall near the start of this exhibit. The model belongs to the U.S. Naval Academy Museum and had been in storage for many years when it was rediscovered in 1989. Made for the construction of the actual ship in 1854, its dimensions match those of the current Constellation exactly, thus proving that the ship was a new design and not a modification of the older frigate.